Alright, so I'm finally making the video on the 2FIDDY 4-inch frame. So I've had this for a while now. This is actually the bind and fly version that Ummagawd sent to me. The flight controller now has the BMI 270 gyro. Mine has the MQ 6000 gyro. So the stuff I'm going to talk about in terms of the PID tune probably isn't going to apply if you get the bind and fly version currently. However, given the situation with the Caddx Vista and the Nebula Pro, I believe these are out of stock right now, so you'll have to contact them and see if they'll put one together for you. I do know that the Vistas are now being provided by RunCam, of course under the RunCam link name, and now we know that DJI is providing those to RunCam now instead of Caddx, and I guess we should probably refer to those as the Air Unit Lite instead of Link or Vista, but you know, those names are going to kind of stick around, especially Vista. But yeah, the Air Unit Lite is kind of an issue right now, and while they are still being supplied to RunCam, I think RunCam is going to have to, it's going to take some time to ramp up and getting that out to the rest of the supply chain, and I think that's why this is currently out of stock. But I'm not going to go over the frame and all this because I have a video from last year on the 5-inch version. I think I did a review on the frame and a build and all that, so it's probably several videos on this guy here, the 5-inch frame with 5-inch props, 2004 motors. This one is a custom build, basically built it off of the parts that they recommended with the Ummagawd motors, of course, and this one comes with the full-size DJI camera. So they did make a modification to the camera mount, and you can see there's an extra hole for the Nebula Pro, as you can see on the 5-inch that's not there. But all the current frames have this new design for the camera mount, as you can see that third hole. So basically the frames are identical, it's just that the arms are a little bit shorter for 4-inch props instead of 5-inch props. So if you line up the quads here, it's gonna be hard to line it up exactly, but you get the picture. Basically the arm is shorter, and we can put 4-inch props on here and squeeze into some tighter spaces. It's a little bit more agile. Flight characteristics are are definitely different from the 5-inch. Definitely a little bit less overall power. Of course, I was flying on the bi-blades here, not tri-blades. I am flying on the recommended tri-blades here. So the tri-blades do make up on the power side a little bit. It's not, it's not as fast as the 5-inch, of course, because it's a 4-inch prop. Regarding, well, how about 3.5-inch props? Well, I will talk about that at the end. I did fly it on some 3.5-inch props. I'll explain why I'm not going to show you any footage in this video. I'll have to wait for a future video for that. I'll explain at the end of the video. But yeah, the bind and fly here comes with this iFlight board. The current ones that they've got have the BMI 270 gyro, but components are always changing, even from manufacturer to manufacturer. These are made by iFlight, so they switch to gyro. This is going to happen quite often. They may end up switching this board out completely. Yeah, so again, you'll need to contact them because the bind and flies are a build to order. So if you order one, then they'll build it for you, and you have to wait. I think it's like 5 to 7 days, they said on their website. So keep those things in mind. With the smaller arms, they put a different motor on here. So it's still a 2004 motor, but now we have a different kV. So not coming out too well there, but yeah, it's 3500 kV, obviously to accommodate the smaller props, so higher kV. And I found on this particular flight controller at full throttle, I would get a lot of oscillations. So I'm thinking that basically for this setup here, at this kV, there's more vibrations at full RPMs. So what it is, I put a motor output limit in there of 90%, which got rid of that at full throttle. So, for the MQ 6000 gyro, maybe like 3500 kV is too much, maybe like 3300, 3250 kV is probably more appropriate. Now I know that they're probably going to tune these individually for each board, so whatever you get is probably going to not have that problem that I had. and it's a different gyro altogether. So the filters are going to be different for that. So just again, you know, what I'm talking about here is probably outdated and not applicable to whatever you're going to get. Now, you know, with the 4-inch prop, it's a smaller prop on the same 2004 motor. So, you know, this with the prop here like this, the thrust coming down, some of this motor is blocking that blade or that thrust area. And this is actually going to be more noticeable on a 3.5-inch prop. So this is why I'm not going to show you any footage of this on a 3.5-inch prop, because I don't think this motor is going to be best if you're going to be building this out. Say if you're doing a custom build, just get the frame and you put your own parts in here. I would not recommend the 2004 motor if you're going to go with a 3.5-inch prop. I would go with their 1605 motor. So this is a 1605. I think this is 3600 kV. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a future video later with this motor. I'm going to swap out these motors here and put this motor on here and then fly it with 3.5-inch props, because it blocks less of the prop blade. If you put a 3.5-inch prop on here, even more of the thrust is being blocked by this wide motor, so you lose a lot of the benefits of the power, and you get some sort of wonky effects, especially when you're doing a lot of maneuvers where you go from full throttle to no throttle. And especially this is those of you that fly freestyle will know what I'm talking about. And you know, the motor is nice and responsive and everything, you know, because it's a big motor with a smaller 3.5-inch prop. That's not the issue. It's the fact that when you throttle back up again, because it's a smaller prop and a lot of it is, you know, the disc area is being blocked by this wider motor compared to a 4-inch or 5-inch prop. You get some sort of strange behaviors occasionally, and that comes out in either prop wash or just like it falling more than expected. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but ultimately that's why I'm not really keen on the 3.5-inch prop on the 2004 motor. If that's what your goal is, if you want to build this with a 3.5-inch setup, I would recommend going with the 1605 motor. Now, if you want them to do a bind and fly for you, I suspect when you contact them to do a build order, you could probably just ask them to put the 1605 motors on instead of the 2004 motors. I'm sure they'll accommodate you in that because they're all build order. But I will have a future video with this motor on this setup here with a 3.5-inch prop instead, and you'll see what that flies like. I think that's going to fly much better because this is a narrower motor. It's not going to block as much of the prop because it is a smaller prop, and this should have similar power compared to the 2004 motor for the weight and everything. So we'll talk about that in a future video, but that's going to do it for this one. I'm going to show you a little bit more flight footage, but basically it's the same frame as the 5-inch that you saw last year, just shorter arms, and it's going to have slightly different flight characteristics. I'm not sure if you're going to really notice it too much in the footage. Maybe some of you experts out there can point out the differences in the flight footage from the 4-inch version versus the 5-inch version and that flight footage you saw last year. Let me know if you notice anything specific in the flight footage in terms of differences, and from you guys that are experts here, because the differences aren't huge. It's just that, you know, because the prop size is a little bit different, but mainly it's a smaller, you know, profile here. So if you know, it just might be a little bit better for flying in sort of smaller spaces and stuff like that. Alright, so that's going to do it for this video.